Hello, you amazing friends. This is Edward's here. I'm so honoured to be with Simone, Lord, and Shaun Tucker. It's been raining in Sydney, and I hope this live stream holds. How you doing, Shaun and Simone? What's going on?
Amazing, Ed. How are you doing?
Ed, awesome.
Now, the reason why we're doing a live stream at this godforsaken hour is because I was just on a Zoom with Simone and Shaun, and we were talking about business, coaching. We're talking about how the Atkins diet has had reports of people losing their teeth and hair, how The Biggest Loser got Channel 10 sued and all that sort of thing. Simone, I want to open up with you. What are some of your reactions to some of the crazy fads and ridiculous stuff we've seen out there, Simone?
Well, I think we can all relate to doing something ridiculous at some point in our lives or watching one of those shows along the lines. As I was sharing with you guys before, that used to be family entertainment. I recall sitting there and it would be like, it's Biggest Loser time. Everyone come and watch this show. Only to read scientific studies now that actually prove that it's ruined people's metabolism and just affected their life really negatively is it's quite shocking.
Oh, it's crazy. And just to jump in, we've got Kishnor, we've got Simone, we've got 2K. Hello, everyone. If you just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. And Shaun Tucker, what are you thinking about all this crazy stuff in our world? What are your thoughts there, Shaun?
I think you got to check your teeth, man. Like, that's some serious stuff. You shouldn't, rely on people telling you what to do sometimes, and actually just think, is this destroying my life or is it making it better? Because sometimes you just got to ask yourself that really simple question. And the Atkins diet, like, it is, I don't know. I didn't really know too much about it. I've heard people throw that word out quite a bit because, in all honesty, I haven't seen people go through it because I think it was a big fad in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's about checking your facts too, isn't it? Like, where's the information coming from? What are you actually listening to? Who wrote that Atkins diet?
Now, after trashing the Atkins diet, I want to trash something else, right? Because we're here to trash things tonight. Welcome. We're not here to trash our fans because we love our fans. We love our fans. We're going to trash other fads that we've heard. The other fad that I've heard, right? And Simone, I want to get your reactions on this one, right? So I've heard about Atkins. We know what it does, right? Now, I've heard a lot lately about the whole protein shake meal replacement. That's bounced up again. I've heard a lot of controversy. Like, instead of people eating a proper meal, they eat like a protein bar for lunch or something like that. Now, I don't know about you. I love chocolate bars, right? But I would never, ever replace a lunch with it. What are your reactions to people eating a protein bar instead of a full meal for lunch? Shaun just said what he said with his body language. What do you think, Simone?
I think if you can't understand the ingredients on the packet, then generally it's a good idea that you should be putting that into your body. And you really just caught up in marketing gimmicks to make you think that you're making a good choice when you're really not.
I just want to interject there as well. I love how the health food section is in an actual place in the supermarket where it's down an aisle and everything's in a box or in like a packet. My health food section would be the fresh produce, where all the fresh meats are and everything, where you can buy all the fresh eggs and milk and things like that. That's health food.
That's a great
What are your thoughts on that?
Now, it's funny you say that because just before we jumped on our Zoom and our live stream, I just went shopping just to, buy some stuff for the week. And I don't know about the health food aisle. I think the health food aisle, I can agree, is the biggest con job ever because in the health food aisle, all I saw was it had lots of chocolate, okay, like with a lot of sugar, okay. Everything was carb. Like it was either dried fruits, which I got no problem with, by the way. It was either chocolates, but there was nothing actually healthy there. Like, wouldn't a fresh apple be better for you than a pack of dried apple, even though it's organic?
Yes, absolutely. And that's where a lot of people get caught up in the fads of thinking that, there's a 5-star health rating on there, or there's a tick from the Heart Foundation, which we're finding out more and more now is not even a reliable source, that you can pay your way to having these things onto your product. So, sticking to the outside of the store is definitely a better way to choose something healthy than being fooled into thinking that something in a packet or a box is going to be better for you.
Shaun?
These marketing people have really, I guess, wreaked havoc on our minds because they know how the human mind works, right? We're going to give in to these quick fixes. Ultimately, everyone knows how to look after themselves. If we just go back even 100 years ago, how were they doing it then?
Yeah.
There was
And I
nothing
love
in
I can
boxes.
see Alexander's comment in here that there's nothing wrong with healthy carbs. And I love that because a lot of my clients are actually scared to eat fruit because they've been on so many fads and so many diets where you're not allowed to have carbs and you can't have fruit and, but you're eating some crappy protein bar or something out of a box, but not having something that's actually really good for you, which is just insane.
And yeah, I've joked with one of my clients because he called me up when he was in the supermarket. He was low on energy, he didn't have much time, and he didn't know what to buy. So he called his health scientist or trainer and said, "Shaun, what do I buy?" And I said, "Tim, he keeps on asking me. He's like, should I go for a protein bar? Should I get one of these energy bars like a Bliss Ball? Like, what should I have?" I said, "Go to the fruit and veg section, get yourself a little banana, one single banana, not a bunch of bananas, and a kombucha, and take that home. On the way, you can eat it on the way home." And he said, "Oh my God, I'm in marketing and I fell for it so bad."
There you go. And that's not
So
Tim Beanland, of course. Absolutely not Tim Beanland.
No.
Not at all. Not Tim Beanland. He's awesome. It's not Tim Beanland, but if it was, we just sort of say we love Tim Beanland around here, which is good.
We
so
do.
just a few things.
He's pretty open about it.
Tim's awesome. Just want to react to comments. We've got Winnie with us. Big round of applause to Winnie. Great seeing you. Got Mark Ingstar. We love you, Mark. Now, a LinkedIn user, sorry if I can't read your name, someone said such a great webinar. Tell me who that is so I can thank you. We've got Alexander Kittle. Lassie's watching. Oh, it's Isaiah Smith. We love you, Isaiah Smith. We see you now. We got Joshua Wiggins. We've got the whole gang watching, and this is awesome. We're just having a chat tonight about some of the fads and some of the stupid stuff out there. And it's interesting, actually. Now, going back to my days of military training where I worked for the government, I remember in quite a few, so this is more for training before I went to the FP, I would, go on exercises. You go out into the forest, you live on ration packs. And what was interesting is that the Australian Army ration packs were built by nutritionists. They were huge. They carried, I think, about 4,000 to 5,000, basically 4,000 calories, right? But what was interesting about the ration pack is that it was fully balanced with protein, carbs, and there you go. I don't know what I'm talking about. Fats, right? It had the whole three. Right? So I got no idea what I'm talking about, hence why Simone shot here. And what was interesting about it is Atkins hit about the time when I was in the Army. That's when Atkins took off, and all the Army nutritionists and medics and all that were all pissed off at it. They were saying, I remember them actually saying, if you don't have enough carbs, you can't actually focus and your hair will fall out after a while, right? That's actually what they said. And now the science, I understand, has come out saying that. Now, I was just going to ask you, Simone, this is a general question. What other stupid fads and dumb stuff have you seen out there that you'd love to call out right now?
So much. You could do a whole, I want to say an hour, but it could literally be a whole 24-hour period on the ridiculous things that come out. The ones that really grind me are actually all the fitness machines. More so than, some sort of lemon detox tea that's going to give you a butt like Beyonce and this tiny waist, apparently, if you drink this tea for 3 days. But it's these exercise machines that they come out with that you can plug your phone into, and they're so easy and they roll away under your bed and all that sort of rubbish. They're the ones that really grind me because I just want to yell at people to go outside and go for a walk, get some fresh air, and that's going to do more than any stupid machine will.
Oh, wow. What grinds your gears, Shaun?
I don't know if it's still around, but I think there was this product called Soylent around maybe like 10 years ago, if I'm not wrong.
Isn't that from the film with Charlton Heston, Soylent Green? Is that from that?
I'm not sure. But the idea of the product was they would fit it's essentially soy-based protein. Then they would add all of these like your RDIs of every single mineral that's found in the body, synthetically add this into the powder, and then you wouldn't have to eat food. You just have to eat this powder a few times a day in water, and that's it. That's all you would do for the day. So like you wouldn't have to worry about cooking your food. You wouldn't have to worry about eating your food. All you have to do was make this shake, and it's not even a meal replacement. It's a complete food replacement.
I have never heard of that, but that was wow. Okay.
It was all around
I
convenience.
love food way too much to ever be able to commit to anything like that. Yeah.
Because the reason why I bring up, there's a film called Soylent Green, and I don't know, I grew up as an only child in the foster system for a while, so it was just me watching science fiction all day. That was kind of my life. And there's a film called Soylent Green with Charlton Heston, set in the future, about now. And basically, there's no food left. All the oceans are gone. And everyone's eating. The government gives them this product called Soylent Green, which is basically this biscuit that everyone lives on, right? And and the spoiler here, by the way, spoilers for everyone. So if you are, please block your ears. You're going to go watch Soylent Green. But what happens was Charlton Heston, who's a cop, he finds out that as people die, their recycled bodies get put into Soylent Green that everyone's living on.
Oh, okay. So it was kind of like
It actually sounds like it's based on that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so when you said Soylent, I thought you were talking about the Charlton Heston film where he and the film ends goes, "You're eating people." Like had this cool line at the end and all that. So there you go. But no one will believe him. No one will believe him. You're eating people. No one believes him. They just cart him away, and that's the end of the film. Very dark film, by the way.
And what was their reaction to that? Did they did they actually care?
Well, no, it's interesting because in the film Soylent Green, like things are really overpopulated and people just want food, right? And so people, as long as they get food, they're not questioning too much where the food comes from. And that brings me to, I suppose, the interesting point. I want to go back to, you talked about the whole tick thing, the whole heart smart tick thing, right?
Mm.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have a few problems with potato chips. Our family has problems with potato chips, right? So our family shreds potato chips. Now, on a pack of potato chips, now I think I could be wrong. So I hope the government doesn't come kick the door down in a minute. But my understanding is that you've got like a rating of 5, right? So it's like basically 1 star to 5 star, right? I think this is the heart rating. It's like a pack of chips has a health star rating of 2 or something. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It should be like 0. Like it should be minus.
Negative.
It's like eating the chips takes your health away. What's this heart rating thing, Simone? Am I missing something or am I just stupid?
No, I think it's really frustrating to try and work out the difference because honestly, I've compared cereal is a big one that I like to talk about, especially for children, because, that's what we do. We're trying to make better choices. Mornings are often a busy time for families. So if you're looking at that star rating and you're trying to compare cereal, it's ridiculous that something like Fruit Loops or Cocoa Pops can have almost a 4-star rating, something like that. And then you will look at a yogurt or a packet of chips and it only has a 1-star rating. And you're thinking, okay, so I can load my kids full of sugar and that's a better option than obviously it's the salt component or the fat component in the yogurt that is in comparison. So, it's so confusing to work out. And I honestly believe that people are trying to make informed choices, but they just can't figure it out.
Sure.
If you can't convince them, confuse them. That's what my wife would always say. And
love that. That's cool.
I think that's what's happening because people are so overwhelmed with information. Then they have these kind of, I don't know, let's call them marketing tools that make it so it looks better. And that's why I said pay to play, because ultimately a lot of these like companies or whatever, they run multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns. And like the package itself is designed in such a way that people are attracted to it. So if you see something that's got like, 5 health stars, like you don't see any health stars on the fresh fruit and vegetables unless it's in a package. It's not like they go and put little health stars on all of the, the fruits and broccolis and all of that. It's just doesn't exist. I think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I think I was going to say, oh, sorry, Simone, please.
No. I was just agreeing with Shaun.
I want to bring up, you mentioned this before, and I remember seeing this. And again, I'm having a shot at the people who support Atkins diet. People who are pro Atkins are pro hair loss and pro poor teeth, right? So pro Atkins people hate dentists, it turns out, right? But the bit that always threw me out was people would say, and I would see this contradiction, you've got to be careful eating fruit, there's too much sugar, but they'll eat a chocolate bar. What's this whole vilification of fruit? Who started that? Who declared war on fruit? Where did this all come from, Simone?
Gosh, I'm actually not sure of that question, but I would think that it's got something to do with these low carbers out there that seem to have quite a hatred for fruit. I don't know why. There's so many things that are different and varying in the fruit varieties as well. But somehow along the line, they made fruit to be a bad thing, but justify it into being able to have packaged and processed things, which are apparently okay. So I'm not sure if Shaun has some more insights on that one. But I definitely, there's a whole generation of people out there that still struggle to eat fruit and see that as a good option, because somewhere in those marketing messages in the nutrition field, they got told that fruit was bad.
So when it comes to fruit, so fruit's an interesting one because fruit is made up of multiple sugars. So when you're talking about carbohydrates, you're talking about it's broken down into sugar in its pure form. So in a fruit like a banana, you might have percentage that's fructose, sucrose, and glucose. Out of those forms of sugar, the one people are kind of apprehensive towards when it comes to fruit is actually fructose, because the only organ that handles fructose is the liver. So if you've got issues with your liver or challenges with your liver, fruit may not be the best choice. Like, that's my sort of understanding. And certain people are more prone to having issues with their liver. And so if they're overwhelming it with a lot of these fruits and, let's say, soft drinks and sugary drinks, that I know in the US it's much more of a problem because a lot of the sodas that they make are actually made from high fructose corn syrup. So people that eat a lot of corn can actually have issues with their liver as well. So that's
generally the theme is that there's an underlying issue behind that as well, instead of running just with the whole concept of now a banana is bad and corn is bad. But they sit there and will drink Pepsi Max all day long or something, but because it's got no sugar in it, and still thinking that's okay, that's a good option.
Yes,
just on that
exactly.
note, after trashing all the great companies, one of my favorite companies is the company called Coca-Cola. And I'm obsessed with Coke Zero and Diet Coke. And according to Coca-Cola, I spoke to them the other day, probably, and they said that these products are good for you because they contain no sugar. That's what they probably said. What do you think of Coke Zero? Now, I have a can of Coke Zero every day, and I think they said it was good for me. What do you think of that, Simone Lord?
Oh, look, in all honesty, I'm actually partial to a Pepsi Max myself. I'm not a Coke Zero person. But for me, it's not about the sugar. It's actually about just how artificial the product is. It is not good for your teeth. It's the acids in there and all those other things that can affect your body and your gut and all that kind of stuff. So, it gets played off as being a better option because it has no sugar in it, but it still is not great for for being consumed. You know, if you could watch 1,000 TikToks that shows you what Coke and Pepsi and all those things will clean. If you tip it down your drain, it'll like clean your drain and clean your stove and all these sorts of things. So if that's what it's doing on the outside to other products, then you can just imagine what it's actually doing to the insides as well.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because a lot of the ingredients are actually cleaners. But anyway, when it comes to the no sugars, you have to be really careful because a lot of these sweeteners, so when they say sugar, they're relating it to sweetness, right? Because you wouldn't drink a Coke that didn't have sugar in it if it didn't have any sweetener in it. The sweeteners that they add relative to energy, so we're talking like calories or kilojoules, it's of like such a small ratio. It's like maybe 0.5% or something like that in terms of the amount of energy that comes from these sweeteners. And there's certain sweeteners, and I can't remember what all of their names are, but like this is where you've got stevia and other sweeteners like sucralose, I think is another one. They're all kind of just different forms of sugar, but it's the amount of sweetness that changes between when these things are added in to make it no sugar. And so they actually create a very similar reaction in the body, even though you're not getting the sugar. And just on a caveat to that, I used to be big on drinking Pepsi Max, and I was actually more of a Pepsi Max guy about 5-6 years ago. Reason I stopped drinking it on like a regular basis was because, I don't know, I cared about my teeth. I felt like my teeth started to rot. So what you were saying before about the Atkins diet, I don't know, I could probably relate that to like a Coke Zero or a Pepsi Max. And that's nothing against what they do, because sometimes it's enjoyable to have one with a meal, but on a regular basis, it could probably just destroy your teeth just as bad.
Yeah,
because of all those
there's so
acid
many
tripping.
interesting studies that are coming out now that even though you're not actually having the sugar by having these sugar-free products, it's increasing your desire to want super sweet things, because the sweetness that you're getting from an artificial sense is 10 times, 20 times sweeter than what the actual sugar would be. So it really actually makes you crave that a lot more. And there's a whole bunch of studies, I'm not sure how much research is behind it, but a whole bunch of studies that actually say that so many of these sweeteners can cause cancer or related to cancer as well. So, you know, there's a lot to be developed in that space, I think.
Wow, brilliant. Now I'm going to I just want to acknowledge our fans. We've got people from Japan. Winnie's, who's been a nurse, says, I'm just ad-libbing, in the hospital where we used to use Coke to clean surgical tubing. That's great.
Wow.
We've got Maria Santos with us. We've got Camilla. Good seeing you, Camilla. Got Shrenik from India, Vishal. We've got Alessio watching us on YouTube. Now I'm going to totally ask a different question. Toxic people, right? Now, you guys are the opposite of toxic. All of our viewers are not toxic. So if you are watching this, you're not toxic, you're awesome. But I want to ask you guys about toxic people because, as you know, we've declared war on toxic people, and it's been a glorious, just war. I just want to ask you, Simone, totally different question. Toxic people, what do you think are toxic people, and what are your thoughts and experiences on those type of vile characters?
Toxic people are definitely, in my opinion, people that take your energy and don't replace it with anything. So it's not a give and take type relationship. And I think we really undervalue how that affects us from our emotional and our physical health in that point of view. Because being around someone who's always really negative, or someone that you've always got to motivate and really bring so much energy into the relationship and you don't get that back, that's really draining. And I do believe that the people that you surround yourself with are the people that you vibe off and that you create into your little ecosystem as well. So for me, putting that barrier in place of those toxic people is really, really important.
Wow. What, Shaun?
I mean, I agree with Simone on that. Toxic people should be left aside. They're sucking your energy away. Like, just once you become aware of who's toxic in your environment, if yourself is toxic, like it's the whole reason we have toxin elimination systems is so we can clear our toxins out. Like use that to kind of relate to the people that are around you. If you need to, lift yourself up, or maybe take inventory of who's around you and how you feel throughout the day. Because like Simone said, if there's people that are taking and not giving back to you, maybe they're energy vampires. Maybe they're the guys that are actually quite toxic that you need to separate yourself from. And this is a really hard thing because sometimes these people are your family as well. So that's a big one, I think, for a lot of people. But just becoming aware is half the journey.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, just being aware and picking up on those cues. Like if you're on that conversation with a friend and they're so draining, then you get off the phone and then you feel like you're straight in the cupboard looking for something to sort of replenish the energy that you've just put into that
looking for
person.
the potato chips with a 5 health star rating.
Yeah. Or you're looking for that chocolate just to be like, wow, that was intense. I need to do something. Then you can sort of that's those toxic people. But yeah, I think awareness is definitely the key, and it is a lot harder when it is people that are really close to you. I think it's easier to manage it in terms of your socials and things like that. You can kind of sense people maybe a little bit toxic. You're like, no, I'm not going to get involved with that. But when it's actually in your closer friend and family circles, I definitely can relate to a lot of that. It's challenging, but I think you've just got to remember your values and stay true to that.
Wow. Now, just on that note, right, and I find this one interesting. Now, we all get it. Like, if someone you don't know is toxic to you, you just block them, easily done, right? Let's say you work with someone who's toxic, you have to network with someone who's toxic, whatever it is. Let's say there's someone who's toxic that you just have to work with, right? You just can't, drive a truck through their house. It won't work, right? How do you, that was a joke, by the way, sort of. How do you, so that was a joke, probably. So in the case of Simone, right? Simone, let's say there's someone who's toxic, you got to work with them. How do you work with those people and try and stay sane? What are some of your vampiric protection advice thoughts?
Yeah. Well, for me, in the fitness sense, because I train clients face to face as well, I'm very upfront with people to say that I will not accept any judgment or bitching or BS that happens. I won't allow it in my class. And if I see that, I don't have any problem with not working with someone that I feel is in that realm. I really love what I do and I'm passionate about being in this field. And you've got to know your internal values and who you want to spend your time with. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing for your profession and in this world is taking time away from your family and your close friends. So it better be worth every second of your time.
Oh, well said. Shaun, what do you think, Shaun?
Look, I think if you're forced to work with this person, you can't escape from them. Well, the only way to deal with it is either like open up to them about it in a not an aggressive manner and not a passive manner, because that can make things a lot worse, but actually start having a bit of open, communication with these sort of people and then learn to dissociate from them as well. So do that internal work where you can learn to dissociate, because if you can learn to dissociate, well, now you have the power. You're not getting, leaving everything to the world and seeing how life happens to you. You're actually creating your life and making it for yourself.
Brilliant. Now, we've had a great one. For those watching, big thank you. Smash that like, share, and comment. Now, we're going to go to our closing thoughts now. And I was going to say, in the closing thoughts, feel free to give us a closing thought and tell us quickly what you do and how you can help people. Simone Lord, what's your closing thought? And tell us, how can people hire you and give you money?
My closing thought is, don't always believe what you see, especially in those fads on, those celebrity status type things. Just research into things. Don't get caught up into the hype of what they are, and make sure that it is the right thing for you to do. Yeah. which is really important. So I'm really excited to share as well that I have just launched a new coaching modality of my lifestyle and business mentoring services. So I'm only working one-on-one with people at the moment, which is super exciting to be able to offer that service, and happy if you like to DM me, we can chat more about that.
Oh my God, well said. We love you, Simone. And Lee Newton Rhodes is watching us from YouTube. Good seeing you. Got Winnie Newburn. We got Felicia, Joel, and Keith. And Shaun, what's your closing thought? And tell us, how can you help people and how can people give you money?
Closing thought, I would say don't give in to the marketing stuff. Like, really just ask yourself, what were people doing 50, 100 years ago? If the answer to that question is not what you see in a box, probably like refrain from making that decision and getting the quick fix or doing something like that, because fundamentally we don't necessarily understand that these things are, containing a lot of things that don't actually support us. And the more that we become aware of that, I think the better. And then start noticing how you feel when you have these foods, when you actually have them. Like, how do you feel after you finish a big bag of potato chips? I don't know. How do you feel the next day? How do you sleep? Like, start practicing these things and you'll really, really be able to take off and know how to make better decisions. So essentially what I do is I help CEOs and people turn into CEOs and become healthy CEOs. So I help them by quantifying their internal health with exercise and sports science and also health science principles, get them back to their better self in 90 days or less. So if anyone wants to reach out and take control of their health and stop giving into these BS fads, I'd be more than happy to have a chat.
Oh my God, beautiful. There we go. So you heard of friends, Simone Lord and Shaun Tucker. Please give them a round of applause. If you are watching a recording or live now, add them on LinkedIn, reach out to them, and please give them lots of money. Thank you, Simone. Thank you, Shaun. And thank you, everyone. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful evening or day.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.